We are live. How are you guys doing? We're like
who are you asking?
No, I mean I'm telling everybody we are live right now. Okay. And they can hear you, Jojo and Martin.
Of course.
Good.
Yes. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. As always, I'll start with a little introduction. My name is Christian, kind of the community manager, marketing guy for Texture Supply, and this is like the last couple of weeks. This has been like a weekly little event for us. But yeah, we have some stuff to talk about. And then joining me, I have Martin and Jojo of Texture Supply, and WizGuru, I would say.
Yes.
So or not.
Hello,
Hello everybody. Yeah, nice to see Mike and Mark and Eddie and Raul and Aline in chat. Hello everybody. So without further ado, we before we introduce our guest for today, we want to always have a little time to just talk about news and updates around Texture Supply. We don't have a lot this week, but what we do have is some happy news. We have over 250 3D artists that have joined our community on Discord, and we are really happy about that. It's insanely good, and we really do hope to see more of you over there talking and sharing and supporting each other. And we've seen a couple of you kind of testing out the voice channels a little bit, kind of like you go in there, you're muted, a little shy. So what we've been thinking, Johannes, maybe you can explain this about these community events.
Well, yeah, I mean we have this meet and greet once every week, but it takes some time for us to plan and so on as well. So we thought the next week, instead of having this meet and greet, we would actually just join the sauna, the voice channel in our Discord chat, and just talk to people. So if you want to chat with us and have just some fun conversations about the industry or whatnot, join the sauna and come naked. That's what you do in the sauna.
Yeah. It's a Swedish sauna, right? In the Swedish sauna, yes. You can't even wear a towel. Gotta go there flapping all over the place. But without further ado, right? That's kind of it for the news and updates for this week. So next week we'll do a little more intimate thing inside of Discord. We won't be streaming and stuff. But without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our guest for the evening, which is none other than Fabio. How are you?
Really? Yay! Welcome to the stream. Of course. Thanks for being here. So the thing is, usually before these streams, we actually ask a couple of questions, or actually we ask the guests to write a little bio on themselves, so we have something to base our questions on. Fabio just wrote a bunch of bullshit, so actually we have really no topics to talk about today, so we'll just have to freebase this whole stream, but I think that's fine anyway. So yeah. Fabio, you are a really interesting person in the 3D community, mainly because what you're most known for is the D2 conferences, which is something we want to talk about. But you're also a very talented artist, actually. I think that you are not getting the recognition that you deserve for the art that you do, because you're mostly, connected to the D2 and not for the actual art. So it would be pretty nice if you could, share some background, like, why did you actually start doing 3D and so on, and art. I mean, you could explain that too, if you want to.
Hang on. Yes, I'm sorry. People are telling me they can't hear you. So for some reason, you are muted.
No.
There we go. Let's try that. Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear him
Hey.
now?
I love it. That's the beauty of the live.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Okay, could you rewind and start over?
Okay, let's
Well,
get some
you know,
confirmation
if I-
first from chat. Can you guys hear him now? Can you hear Fabio? Fabio, please. Still not.
Sing a little.
Yes. Yeah, there he is.
No, I'm not saying anything.
So let's get back to the 70s.
Okay,
right?
okay. Yes, they can hear you. So sorry, Fabio. Sorry.
Great. Awesome.
Again, Johannes, thanks a lot for the nice introduction. I think that this is the nicest thing that somebody has ever said about my work, but it doesn't really matter.
It does matter.
What I was trying to say is that I got into the industry in a very weird way. I moved to Austria, and when I did, I could not really speak German, so I was not really capable of getting a job. At least one of the jobs where you go and sit in an office and then you can work with colleagues and like a traditional formal job. I was always like considered to be a guy that could not speak German, and bear in mind that this was 2009, so we're talking about already 13 years ago. I was already working as a designer for 4 or 5 years, doing visuals, but mainly for in-house architects. And the market wasn't what it is today, right? There wasn't really like people knew those were making renderings, but you did not know the big companies, right? If I asked any architect or anybody who is Luxigon, who is Mir, they would be like, we have no idea, we just saw the pretty renderings and they're from Snoetta or Zaha Hadid. And so what I'm trying to say is that it was very difficult for me to get a job and sort of like do the normal career path that most people do. And so at that time, around that time, the beginning that I moved to Austria, I started to ask myself, how can I get into the industry if there is nothing happening in this city? And so that was where the idea for the D2 came from. When the D2 was created, it was created basically because I needed to have the contacts and to get the contacts so that I could work in the field of 3D. And then what happened is that during the time that the D2 started to was born and then started to evolve, because I think we did the first event in 2012. The conference wasn't called D2. I wasn't still a partner with Jason, and I was working with Christian, but I was working also with other guys. All the activities that I was doing because of the D2, they sort of like put me on the map, not as an artist, but as a social media person. And so, I was creating content, I was curating a blog that was very famous. It was called The Render Guy. I don't know if you remember it. We had a bunch of interviews with people that were mainly working in the field of Cinema 4D and V-Ray, because at the time I got a job at V-Ray. And so because I was doing all this marketing stuff, I found myself having a better career, making more money doing the marketing stuff instead of the 3D. But the 3D never really went anywhere because I was still doing it for Chaos Group, when I was working for them.
Weren't you some kind of ambassador for the Cinema 4D version of V-Ray?
Actually, in the very beginning, so the story is like this: the Chaos, the V-Ray render for Cinema 4D was not developed by Chaos in the beginning. The engine was, but the implementation was done by another company, which I was lucky enough to work for in Austria because of the D2.
It was Stefan Laub, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And so, I worked for him for 2 years, and then the company got bought. We managed to actually do enough of a good job that the people at Chaos, they said, we're happy with what you guys have. We think it makes sense for us to buy the product and continue developing it ourselves. And so I was actually hired by Chaos Group to help them with knowledge transfer. This is basically when it's a terminology that it's used to indicate when you help a company transition from a site to another. And so I did that for a year. And so, I was always very busy with like marketing stuff and communication stuff. That I said, it's not worth it for me to do the work of 3D because, what I'm doing, I make more money. I have a lot more time on my end. Maybe I'll focus on this part. And I actually did this for a couple of years as a private consultant. People were calling me into their companies, and I was helping them with all the stuff that was related to more to the marketing and business side of design other than the actual 3D execution. And that lasted up until 2020. In 2020, I was a little bit frustrated because I had built a sort of like a nice presence within the industry, but I didn't really have any work to show for. And so I was like, as an artist, people put you on a pedestal, and then some people that are just coming out, they come to you and they say, "Oh, where is your body of work? I've never seen your work." And it's true, like my newest work was like from 2014 or 15. And so I was like, maybe just for the fun of it, there is a recession. Chaos Group ended the contract with me. So I didn't really have anything else that I was interested in doing. And I started to work again in 3D, this time not with Cinema 4D, because I used to get Cinema 4D the license for free because I was working for them. When that stopped, I was like, I'm not going to spend money for a software, especially if I'm not going to make money. And so I picked up Blender, I started learning it. And this was the time that crypto was going up again. And so the NFT world started to emerge. I was already a little bit involved in that because, I have my hands a little bit everywhere. And so crypto is one of the things that I like to do myself. And I saw a few companies that were working in the field of NFTs and smart contracts that were actually creating Web3 applications. And, I had the intuition to say, okay, maybe they might need 3D services that I can actually provide. And so I made the switch. I started to learn Blender. I had to learn a lot of like motion graphics, things like that, because, in Web3, everything, it's dynamic and it's, you work with developers and people that can help you porting things into real-time environments. I'm still doing it. I have to say that right now the market is really slow because of the crashes that there were in the crypto space. But it's okay. It feels like being at the beginning of the archviz industry. Like 20 years ago. Well, that's not really the beginning, but I do remember in 2006. It was very easy for me to get a client to pay me good money for rendering because people had no clue how to make them.
Yeah. It was such
remember
a new industry.
Some of the first renderings I was doing was with SketchUp and Podium. You remember Podium?
No bells are ringing. No.
Oh man, this was like the Antichrist of render.
So what year was that?
This was 2006.
Gotcha.
And
yeah.
literally
Around that time.
Literally what I was doing.
Oh, go ahead.
What?
I was just saying around that time or a little bit before, I was using TrueSpace. Is that something that you okay. Oh. No, I remember when
literally what I was doing
TrueSpace
was clicking render and photoshopping a sky in the background, and people were blown away.
What do you guys think about because Eddie and Fernando say Mental Ray and Podium. Does that mean anything to you guys?
Array was the base rendering that Autodesk was offering with the 3D packages that they had back then.
Yeah, took them long enough to remove it from 3ds Max. It was just a couple of years ago they removed it. So how did you experience moving from Cinema 4D to Blender? Was that like a huge struggle? Because I know, maybe it's not really the same comparing to moving from 3ds Max to Blender, but I know in the Max community where I am mostly involved with, there is a lot of what do you say, like unhappiness about the development of 3ds Max, and people think it's going too slow, and people are looking at Blender like, hey, look at what other thing Blender can do, and it's free and all. So there are a lot of people who want to move to Blender, but maybe, I've had the thought myself, but the thing that is keeping me back is that, hey, I gotta start from scratch. Like, I would be a total newbie, and that scares me. But so how did you find that moving to Blender? Was that a challenge?
It took me 6 days to finish the first commercial project in Blender.
Nice.
And this was interior renderings, so it's it was okay. It's to me the thing that I'm gonna say something that probably people are not going to like to hear, but the business model of the software is changing, right? And so it will be interesting to see how these big companies are going to react to this change. So far, the way some companies are reacting is that they're trying to buy more and more software, so to offer, instead of like one single service, a ecosystem of services. However,
monopoly.
However, you have to understand that if we keep moving in the direction that we're moving now, software really is going to be just an exchange platform. It's not going to be something that you have to pay for. What you're going to pay for, it's going to be the content, and we already see it. In Unreal, this is happening. Yeah. In Blender, this is pretty much the case, because basically each Blender market that exists, I believe that they have, because of the agreement, they have to give sort of like a percentage of everything that they sell to the Blender Foundation. And so I myself, I was complaining that I did not want to pay for a software license, because I did not have a job at the time. Now I find myself spending $200-300 a month of assets that I don't even need, just because I think that the software is for free. And
so obviously it's working.
Do you understand? And so I do think that here what is happening is that a lot of the corporations that these companies are made of, they're sort of like stuck in their bureaucratic way of doing things, and they're not seeing what is actually happening in the community, or they cannot respond fast enough. But this is just an educated guess. The thing is that fucking bought like a cable generator thing in Blender. I never made a cable in my entire life. Like,
this would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and but they look cool, and so you buy the plugin because it's $35.
The thing is, whenever you will face the issue of making a cable, you would totally forget they actually bought that, and then you will still do it manually. That's how
and then you buy the 3D model of the cable that it's already made.
Exactly. So this whole thing with go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Eddie in chat has a question for Fabio, but I'll let you finish first, Jojo.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying, so this whole thing with software licenses is actually pretty interesting, because lately all the major companies have been getting a lot of critique for moving from perpetual licenses to subscription licenses. People want to own their softwares, but for example, now you said it's interesting how the whole licensing thing is changing with Blender being free, and how other people or how other companies react to that. So for example, Autodesk, I think it was last year or 1.5 years ago, they started having indie licenses for Maya on 3ds Max. So you could buy an indie license for like $300 a year, which is like the first time where people who are not working professionally with this can actually afford having a legal license. Up until then, everyone had to use pirate versions, cracked versions.
Can I tell you something, Johannes? This is still a burden and a wall that you have to go through as a non-user, because, like, you know, let's assume that there are 2 million, 3 million, 10 million 3ds Max users out there, right? 10% of them have a license, a legal license.
Yeah.
All the rest, you know, they're cracking it or whatever. I don't know. I'm just guessing. The point that I'm trying to make is that now there are people that are not 3D artists who are jumping on Blender. They watch a tutorial on YouTube and they make TikTok videos with which they make hundreds of dollars doing what they like, right? Why? Because Blender is free. Now, I do understand that 3ds Max, you know, it's a little bit a radical thing to do, but do imagine a place where instead of you buying the license and having to pay, say, $300 a year, I don't know how much it is, the 3ds Max license, you have 1 billion users a year that buy $5 of assets to use it once, and you get 20%, 30% of that transaction. Imagine the volume of business that you're going to have. And this is something that I've already shared with you in the past. You know, I do think that what you guys are doing, it's freaking amazing, because we are going to need a lot of assets. And assets, that's the beautiful thing. It's a market that will never end. It will never end, because every year there will be new shoes, there will be new tiles, there will be new color combinations of whatever it is that you want, and people will need those. Especially if you have a client that comes to you and says, oh, I need the rendering yesterday. You're not gonna go and scan your own tiles or your own shoes. You're gonna go on the marketplace, spend $10, and you're going to buy it. Now, this is to me where the NFT is an exciting technology, because you can actually now theoretically mint an NFT, which could belong to a specific blockchain or whatever system that the company wants to use. And every time that that NFT is used, then there is a small calculation of the percentage that Autodesk should earn, or Photoshop. Do you understand? And so this is, to me, the very exciting thing.
So basically all licenses would be paid for through the blockchain.
Exactly. And so, you know, to me, this is a mind-blowing idea, because we don't have and look, all the companies that are looking into the future are sort of like already thinking in those terms, you know, think of like Houdini, but even Blender, man, you know, that is a software that doesn't take enough credit. And now people are starting to wake up to it, you know. With that said, you know, I do understand that it's very hard to lose a habit. I mean, I tried for 4 months to get a license from the guys at Maxon, hoping that, you know, they were going to be nice to me. And yeah, Fab, you're a friend, of course. And, you know, that kept me 4 months from making 3D, because I was like, you know, I don't really want to go for Blender. I don't know how to use it. I don't want to start from scratch. But, you know, I have friends that jumped on Unreal Engine. They did 3 or 4 weeks of tutorials, and now they're making animations and they're making commercial work, you know. This is an incredible thing for the community. You know, we talk a lot about community. Certain companies should think really about what it means to have community, because then when you create a community, then you also create a good customer base. This is what we have done with the D2, for instance. You know, we try to always think about the people that come to us first, and then, you know, like, how can we reward them to sort of like create a market for us? Because obviously we do this to make money, but we cannot simply make money and then give them the same conference every year.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Trying
And
to
that's
make
also,
a parallel with what is happening in the 3D world.
yeah, it makes total sense. I mean, that's why we are having these streams and we're having the Discord service, because we want to build a community too. And you know, putting this into perspective, looking at, for example, Autodesk, since we're talking about them, where are they in the 3D community? You know, they have no presence in the 3D community. You know, they're not interested in being among their users.
It's really weird, because the thing is that, from my perspective, like as a guy in like more marketing business side of things, there's a saying when it comes to community that works really well, and I think it's very true, and that is, if you want to build a community, build a barn, you know. So it's because it's one thing to have like a channel for it, right? But the community won't become anything unless you get people working together or doing something, you know. So I think that's really important, and I think that's what you have done very well with D2, Fabio. I've never been there, but I'm going to be there for the first time this year. I'm super excited. But it's the whole, you know, like the kickoff thing, and with the yes, you know, it activates people, and that engages them, and then, you know, that creates memories and stuff, and creates bonds.
Yeah, man, you know, this is something that I'm actually, you know, I want to say proud, because I really am proud of it. Mainly because, like, everybody who's always come to the D2, they always told us what good they got out of it, you know. And I do hope that we as a society, we are not going to change to the extent that we are not going to live events, you know, not necessarily paid live events, but like even get-togethers. You know, there is our friend Nigel. He works closely with Autodesk and with Chaos, so he could also be a very nice guest to have for your podcast, because he'll be able to answer those questions maybe better than me, because I'm not really a 3ds Max user. But anyway, I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, I do this often. Don't worry.
Yeah, I can squeeze in a couple of questions from chat. Eddie has been waiting a while now to ask to
Sorry,
Fabio. Eddie. No, sorry. It's okay. What do you think about Unreal 5 to archviz? Do you consider it a new standard or just one more tool to do our work? What do you think, Fabio?
So I've not really used it myself. I've really not used it myself, but I can tell you that I do work with some companies which have basically had Unreal in their research and development pipeline. Right. And they told me that since a year, more or less, Unreal has become a production-ready tool, which was not the case, 2 years ago. Now, I don't really know what that means, because I haven't used it myself. But as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I do have a lot of contacts and people that I know that work in the field of like film and even like commercials and so marketing and so on, that they're using it, and it's their main tool. And again, like that's I think one of the advantages of being within the users of Unreal is that you have a data bank of models which is almost infinite, and whatever you need to import into Unreal, you can create it with Blender, and then you can keep working with Unreal. So I do think that it makes sense for those who don't work, say, with 3ds Max or Cinema 4D yet, and they're looking for a platform where they can get going and start developing some 3D, that there is a potential there. Now, the archviz projects, they have a turnaround that it's a lot faster than some of these movies and commercial work, You have clients that sometimes you have to create a project in 3 days, 4 days. I don't really know what the pipeline is to create, say, a small apartment and bring it into Unreal and have it visualized. I don't know how long it takes. So I can't really answer that question. But I do think that, they're probably working on a solution. They're probably working on their own internal modeling tool. They're probably working in a plugin that will allow for a seamless transition between, other software and Unreal. It used to be like this anyway a few years back when, if you wanted to visualize something that was, what was the tool called from Autodesk where you would just import your 3D models and then render it? Was it V something? Do you remember it?
Was it VRED?
No. It was anyway, a long time ago. I do remember, like 10, 11 years ago, there was a software from Autodesk which was basically a 3ds Max without the modeling tools inside, where you would just bring a 3D model and then you would render it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think I remember that. That wasn't very successful, I think. But yeah, I mean, talking about Unreal Engine, I think I was playing with it a little bit, working for Stage Class, and I was absolutely able to get some really, really nice results. Some results that were actually totally comparable with FStorm, as long as there was a large window, so I wouldn't have to care a lot about secondary bounces and stuff. But I also learned that Unreal doesn't support very much modeling, so you still have to prepare everything in another package. So I was doing that in 3ds Max, and then using Datasmith to convert that from 3ds Max to Unreal. But that conversion were far from perfect, and so I learned that setting everything up and getting everything to work in Unreal took basically just as much time as just doing it in 3ds Max, all together. So I guess in Unreal you really had to depend on templates or blueprints to be able to be somewhat efficient. But also I know that Epic are working really hard on solving these issues to make Unreal becoming a standalone app in the future.
Yeah, that's basically also what. Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
That's basically also what I know for myself. I mean, like when I work with our developer, what I need to do is prepare the 3D model, do all the UVs, bake them, and then export the model, OBJ, FBX, and usually there is always something that I forget that I have to redo, or it doesn't really matter. He'll create his own UVs, and it won't bother me. I don't know, man. I think that you gotta be curious anyway, and you should not make the mistake to say, "Oh, that's just a gimmick." Like, do understand that these tools, the reason why they exist is because people are still using them. That's why whilst I do understand the frustration of some people on 3ds Max or Cinema 4D, they're still incredible tools to be used. Are they perfect? Far from it. Even Blender, it's not perfect. But of course, it comes down to personal preferences. If people are happy using 3ds Max, that's what they should be using. If they feel like it's unfair for them to continue using it because they don't like the policies of the company, everybody should be free to make their own decision.
Here's a little interesting thing is I've been working on a personal level with some cinematic stuff. I want to do animated robots, so I got this Xsense motion capture suit and so on. I just wanted to make some short films, but as I'm a 3ds Max user, I need to buy a 3ds Max license, or I have one already, but that's a cost. And then to be able to process the mocap data, I needed Motion Builder, because that's the app to use for 3ds Max in the Autodesk system, at least. And that does not come with a indie license, so I had to buy it full price. It was like $2,500 for a year, and I've hardly used it so far. So that was not a really good investment. So hey, Ardisk, if you want me to actually learn this software, please give us an indie license. But anyway, and also I wanted to add this into film, so I needed some way to 3D track camera movements, and so I bought Synthize, which is a 3D tracking software. And then I see guys like Ian Hubert, for example, that does amazing stuff, all of this in Blender for free. He does it way better than I can do it.
But let me tell you another thing, okay? I totally respect the work that Ian does.
Yes.
But Ian is not a 3D artist in the traditional way that you would see a 3D artist. What I'm trying to say is that he thinks with the brain of a person that needs to solve problems rather than to do things, the way they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. And this is, I think, at the base of the spirit of Blender. You know how many times I've had conversations with 3D artists talking about grass, right? How do you make your grass? It looks so realistic. And I'm like, I take a picture of a house that has a field of grass from the front, and then I map that picture of the grass onto a particle system with little hair, and it looks realistic. And people are like, but that's not the right way to do it. Who gives a fuck? Like, do I care? Do I have to explain it to my client? And it's like that kind of mentality that, but then if you have to turn the image, and I'll sort the problem out. I don't care, like if I have to turn the image, I'll find a way. It's like, don't come and give me that dogma of yours that, no, the translucency value of like,
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I love from...
Yeah, sorry. While we're on Blender, we'll probably have... but Mark has had a little question about Blender. He says, why shouldn't companies like ours just don't... Why shouldn't companies just switch to Blender? Because the result is the same / better, and it's for free. So why shouldn't we switch to Blender?
Guys, I'm not getting paid by Blender to promote the migration of mass artists toward Blender. I don't know. Like, again, to be honest with you, if I was still working and I actually had in that period the money to say I'm gonna buy Cinema 4D, I would be probably still working with Cinema 4D. It's a decision that people have to make. Do we have enough money to still afford a 3ds Max license? Yes, no. If we want to change, how long does it take for us to make the switch? I've had clients, for instance, okay, this is a little tip for some people that might be thinking of doing this. I've had clients that have come to me and said, look, we're making the switch, but we don't know where to start. Can you help us? And I told them, I said, okay, put a project in your pipeline, give yourself 1 week with a team of 2 or 3 artists, and see what is the outcome. Can you afford to keep this going for another week next month? Yes, no. Can you do it in 2 months? Yes. Okay, keep testing, keep trying.
Good tip.
You can do it this way and see what happens. If it works, then, you found free money. If it doesn't, then it probably means that you have to wait, or, maybe your work really does depend on the software that you're using. And again, I'm saying this because we live in a world with a lot of information. And so everybody comes out and says, oh, Blender is the future, or Unreal is the future. No, it's fucking not, it's like, God knows if the guy that made Blender, then the kid is going to inherit the Blender Foundation, is going to be fucking, I don't know, like an evil villain, and is going to turn Blender into another pay, the $12 a month software. Nobody's going to buy into it, I'm just
you never know what happens.
I'm just talking shit. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you don't have to feel the pressure that society or your own community is giving you. Oh, you should switch to Blender because 3ds Max is bullshit. I remember many years ago, Juraj Talčík. I haven't heard from the guy in so long, but he came to speak at the conference. And there were a couple of people talking to him about, the software. People wanted to make the switch. They were unhappy with the software that they were using. And at the time, Juraj was like 21 years old, so like a super young guy. And he was like, guys, stop talking all this shit. Are you using this software to make renderings? Yes. Then you need to use it. You don't want to use it, stop using it, And I do remember this because I was already a little bit older, 30 years old already, when I created the very first D2, which wasn't called the D2. And Juraj said this thing, and it stayed with me because I'm like, sometimes you have to cut a little bit through all the noise and just, skim the shit and just keep the information that it's important for you, If you're happy using it, but you feel like it's a ripoff, it's like the little price that you have to pay to keep doing what you like doing, using the software that you like using. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of FOMO in this industry where, people are afraid of, hey, there's a new software, everyone seems to be jumping on it, I'm gotta do that too so I can stay relevant. But the thing is, you are the artist and you decide how you want to create your art, no one else. And the softwares that you're using, you're not going anywhere. So I mean, just choose whatever you're comfortable.
This is also the fault that, when you go into the job market, okay, the job industry, you look for jobs in the field of 3D. You need to use the fucking material design. What the hell is it called? I don't remember anymore. You need to use this and you need to use that. And every client that I've ever had in my life, and we're talking Porsche, Red Bull, Austrian Airlines, Siemens, so big names, right? Every project that I've done, I only used one software. Two, a software and a render engine. That's it. It's like we never had to use nothing of the stuff that, people feel like they should be using nowadays. And I'm not saying that you should not be using it, but don't think that, movies were not made when Substance wasn't there, movies were made still. Like, I watched Iron Man maybe a month ago, the first one, right? I don't think that at the time there were that the concept of PBR material was a big one, and still that movie looks amazing.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. And so I don't know, man. Definitely. I'm just like, are you happy with the work that you're doing? Yes, no, okay. Do you need to learn something more to make it better? Yes, learn it. That's it. If you have a good portfolio, if you have a good body of work, people will come to you and they will ask you to do the same thing that you have done, that you have shown to them. I don't know, man.
Is it okay?
I can just very quickly circle back to, because you mentioned some tips of people who want to learn Blender or move to Blender. Fabio has an amazing YouTube channel where he has tutorials of how to learn to make Blender. So if you want to learn how to make six figures in Blender, go check out his tutorials.
Yeah, I also kind of, on that note, is it okay for you, Fabio, if I kind of go through your Instagram while you guys talk?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay,
that's pretty interesting because Fabio, you are a very talented artist, and what you have on your Instagram is, I would say, it's wicked. And it's very artistic. It's nothing that I would be able to do. It's just it seems like the art that you do there is not because you want to portray something that hey, I want to show how this chair looks like, or it's not anything like that. It's more like your dreams visualized or something. Could you say something about your thought process on making that?
Oh yeah, I mean the stuff that I do. So let me just clarify something. I'm very appreciative of the importance of realism. And actually, this is one of the first things that got me really interested into 3D. You probably remember the book that I helped Bogdan making. This was because we had an interest in the field. Actually, the first notoriety, so to say, which I gained in the field was for real tutorials that I was making for Cinema 4D and V-Ray, and those were all about realism. And so, at the time we were working on the model that was created by Grant Warwick. Do you remember the guy?
Mm-hmm. The one who disappeared.
And so, oh yeah, I have stories. But the idea is that we were going for hyper-realism, and actually some of the very first work that I did was about hyper-realism. And I do remember many times posting images, say on Facebook, telling people, how beautiful is Austria, or I'm going for a walk in the woods, and then I would show the wireframe, and people were like, "What the fuck?" So it's like that was one of the first interests that I had. When I made the decision to move a little bit away from archviz, which is actually also not completely true because I still do some archviz related projects and work, I did sort of like make the decision to say, hey, there is so much beauty surrounding us. What if I can capture some of these ideas of beauty, of things that I see around me, and I reproduce them in 3D? Because to me, there is still that sort of like gamey gimmick of making something, like people now are getting super wild with Mid-Journey, for instance. I've tried it too, but to me, it's not as satisfying as doing something with my own hands. And I'm not saying that Mid-Journey is wrong and it's not the future. Actually, with some of the people that I'm working with, we use Mid-Journey for them to tell me the ideas that they want me to produce.
Interesting.
So, it's actually fantastic because then they come to me with amazing concepts, and then Mid-Journey gives you the blueprint of what you should be doing. And then you tell them, yeah, but these clouds, forget about it. You won't be able to have them, or things like that.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting. I mean, we let's not dive too deep into like Mid-Journey and stuff. We talked about that a few streams ago, but one thing that I wanted to briefly talk to you about was NFTs. So we have touched it a little bit, but I think you have been active in the NFT community for a while, and you've been making some NFT, you've been selling them, and from what I can tell, you made a decent bunch of money from them actually. So
man,
I mean, compared
this will get me hacked.
Well, no. Okay, I said decent. I said not a lot, but I mean, you
now
actually
it's nothing. Now I've lost like 80% of it, so it's like
bummer. Well, I mean, because you in the description before this, you actually wrote that you used to pray to become a millionaire, and then you became a 3D artist instead. So that's probably why you're not a millionaire. So, but I guess
then I stopped praying.
Yeah.
Hang on, are you telling me that 3D artists are just like every other artist? They're like, there's no money in artistry whatsoever?
Unless you're like super special like people. But
all right.
Yeah, so you have been selling some NFTs, and how how does it work? Because if you would explain that to me, I know literally nothing about NFT. I don't even know how to mint something. I don't even really know what that means. So for everyone of those who doesn't really know about it.
So the NFT, it's basically a piece of information that lives on the blockchain. The blockchain, you can imagine it as being a network of endless computers placed all over the world. And the idea is that this piece of file that it's minted, that's the name that it's used for the creation of an NFT, should theoretically be not like you cannot rip it off, you cannot copy it, it lives in the blockchain, and so you're able to...
A minted image, basically, the minting is a sort of licensing that licensing information are placed on every single computer on the blockchain.
If there is a licensing information, if you put it on the smart contract, the smart contract, it's basically the software that functions on the back of this NFT.
Okay.
Meaning, I can give you an example. So, okay, a project that I'm involved in is to sort of like create NFTs of music of artists, so that an artist can go to YouTube and upload an NFT of a song. This song will play through YouTube, and every time that there is a monetization of the song, whoever owns an NFT of that song will get part of the earnings.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
The reason for that is that, say that you are, Johannes, you decide to start playing guitar. Actually, you do already. You become a singer, and you're like, I do not have the money or the ability to go to Universal and say, can you finance my album? But maybe you have a community of, say, 100,000. And you say, and I am sure that this song is going to be listened millions of times on YouTube. I'm going to make 100 NFTs. With these 100 NFTs, they're going to cost each one $100. Every time that there is a certain amount of money made through this song, you guys are going to get some money. And so if you're very successful, people might make money by investing in you. And you are creating value that you can share with your own community. Now, the advantage is that you will get paid up front with your NFT project. You can go to Universal and say, Universal, I did that. My song is on the internet. It's getting millions of views. I have a little bit of money. What can we do to work together? And then at that point, the company, you'll start talking. Now, the thing is that there are companies like, I don't really remember which company is doing this, so I'm not going to say it, but they're already thinking of ways to finance NFT projects for music artists. Because basically, a company that has, say, a reach of millions of people, if they do an NFT with a music artist, they don't have to upfront the money that it's needed to create the album. They outsource it to people. And so basically what they're doing, they're taking no risks. They're creating the NFT project on behalf of the artist. And if it works, they get a record deal. And so, this is to me fascinating, that the whole idea of Web3 is the idea of like not having this idea of decentralization, right? Not having a single company owning everything, right? You guys as Texture Supply can do crazy work, putting it out there to the users, and you don't have to be dependent on, say, Autodesk or any other company, because you're doing your own thing and you have your own community, and your project is bringing you money through a partnership. And so, theoretically, you could think of creating an NFT where you say, guys, we're trying to raise $1 million to bring Texture Supply to the next chapter.
Exactly what we need to do.
What we are going to do, we're going to create 1,000 NFTs. Each NFT will cost, I don't know, $10, $100, whatever it needs to cost to get to $1 million. And then at the end of the year, we can do a revenue share of whatever it is that we have made. And so basically people will become your own investors in your project without you having to go to a VC, for instance.
So it's like a blockchain
Crowdsourcing.
stocks, basically. That you
Exactly.
can sell. All right. So what I understand from this is that the NFT, because when most people, me included, talk about NFT or think about NFT, we think about some artists selling some good, or in many cases not very good artwork for millions of dollars that is technically worthless, and that's it. You know, someone owns someone's JPEG image, and that's basically what people think NFTs are. But what you're talking about is something way deeper, and where NFTs are not really used just to sell your art to some random collector, but it's actually meant to build a whole ecosystem. That's pretty interesting,
So-
because that conversation is not really happening in the industry.
No. But that's the thing, you know, like this is the reason why I ask myself, do people really understand what is happening? And don't get me wrong, like around a year ago, I stopped making content on YouTube because I really got into NFTs. And a lot of people are reaching out asking me, hey, why aren't you making videos about NFTs? And I'm like, look, you know, I just started out. I'm working with some companies. There are a lot of good things, but there are also a lot of bad things. But I cannot consider myself an expert yet, because, you know, this industry is so young that if I say something and 3 months ago it's the opposite happening, this is not how I would like to build my legacy with the community that I built, you know? And so I'd rather just shut the fuck up and not say anything and test things out and see what is happening before getting anyone involved in it. But I do think that there are potentials. I am so sure of the potentials that there are, that we have actually made the decision, Jason and I, last year, to actually sell NFT tickets for the D2. And we gave them away for dirt cheap, and people did not buy them. And so, you know, this makes you understand that, you know, when people don't understand something, you can give it to them for free and they will not get it. Then the discussion about the art and everything, that's another big one. And people need to understand what's behind this that actually motivated people to move in that direction. However, you know, I cannot talk for sure 100%. You know, like I don't know what's going to happen in the field of the arts. I do think that this is going to continue because there are projects which are very much involved in art, and so, you know, there is a future. There are companies that are working together with museums where they're tokenizing art of like very famous sculptors and painters, and so, you know, there is the wheel also there on that side to keep doing this. However, I do not have enough experience to even say a little bit about it. Myself, I've always made art. If you know me, you know, as long as you have, Johannes, you know that I've always posted stuff on my Instagram. Maybe, you know, it wasn't great. You know, everybody can judge the work of others. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. What I'm trying to say is, though, that I found myself at a right place at the right time, and I was able to sell quite a bit of NFTs in the very beginning. But that wasn't because I'm a great artist or because I'm a genius in marketing. It's because I found myself at the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Like always with these things, like with the crypto and so on, it has its peak, and then, you know, when everyone gets into it and everyone wants their share of the pie, it just plummets, and then there's no interest anymore.
Exactly. And so, you know, and I want this to be transparent because, you know, it's like, yes, I do fancy myself as an artist. I try to be. Every time that I get brought in on a project, I always make people understand that my contribution is going to be a contribution to try and make something not just because we need to make it, but because it has to have meaning and beauty. And I try to always deliver on that promise. So, I do think as an artist when dealing with these things, but, the NFT, this was just a lucky break that I got myself. And again, it doesn't mean that it's over. It's just that as of now, I'd rather focus my energies on clients that are trying to achieve something and that appreciate my work. And actually, in the NFT world, there is quite a bit of interest for 3D artists because everything is going in the direction of 3D. And so, there is a huge potential. Eric DeBrush was saying this years ago at the D2 when he said, look, we will have to build worlds, and at the time people did not know what he was talking about, but it's clear now that maybe 5 to 10 years from now, me and you guys are going to have this conversation in a immersive environment where I'm going to see 3D scans of you, because we're going to have, smart chairs, smart tables, smart laptops that are going to enable that. And the reason is that there is an interest from companies to keep us plugged to an immersive infrastructure, because, companies sell advertisement. And so, when you go on Discord and you write, oh man, I really want to go to Thailand this year, and then fucking 10 minutes later you're on Google and you get Thailand's ads of the tourism and stuff. They're listening, and that's how they make their money. So their will is to keep you as immersed as possible to get as much information from you so that they can sell you shit.
Definitely.
I think this is a kind of a good part to kind of because we're getting towards the end, and I think we have a couple of more things to talk about, right? We need to talk about D2 and the 3D artist battle that is going to happen over there. So I don't know, like, this is totally improvised. So you guys tell me, what do you want to do? How do you want to do this?
Just gonna reply here.
Okay, so let me just say, first of all, thank you for being a sponsor of the D2 this year. We really appreciate it. We're working really hard to bring back that community feel that I do feel is been going missing because of the of the lockdown and all the fact that we could not travel and we could not do any conference. And so you guys are helping us out to make this happen, and so for that I'll be forever thankful. We had this idea to involve you with the 3D modeling battle, which is basically a battle that happens every year before the actual conference. We have 2 artists on stage that have to create an image, and you guys are going to provide the models, you're going to provide the textures. And so to me, this is going to be freaking amazing, because we're going to see people using your stuff in real time, and they will have to create something beautiful. And on top of that, there'll be alcohol involved. So,
nothing can go wrong.
Nothing can go wrong. And if I say so myself, because I was there actually hosting 2 battles, one of which, Johannes, you were one of the participants.
Yes.
We do know how you start the battle and how you end it, and I do think that it's a lot of fun.
I haven't heard this. How did Jojo end the battle? Let's is this something we should talk about on live or like on the stream, or is this something for the Discord server? Like,
well, it's like you enter the battle being one person and then you exit being someone else.
Okay. That's what alcohol does, right? That's
Whoever you become when you're drunk, yeah.
Mark says in chat, he says, wasted.
Yes. It was
Johannes-
hard to have
Johannes-
conversations.
Johannes said something really important at the end of that battle. I'll never forget this. He said to me,
Okay, so how do I say this? The segue to this giveaway, I guess, is do you want to be like Johannes and be on the D2 conference, attend the conference, watch the lectures and stuff, and also
And say all the
meet
wise things.
Yeah, give an
Yes, to say all the
speech.
Exactly. If you want to, I really do hope you took part in our little form that you had to fill in, and we have some we do have some applications for this. So
Yes. First, can I just interrupt a little bit first? One thing I
Yes.
just want to mention, that because when I was talking to Fabio, or we were talking to Fabio about sponsoring the D2 conference, he said something that I think everyone should know about, and that is that this year you said that you're not actually making a lot of money doing this, because it's after the whole COVID and stuff, and it's been a little bit of a struggle to make it happen. And I just want to give you a huge thank you and shout out for actually doing it anyway, even though that this might not be a very profitable thing for you to do.
Johannes, I did not ask you to say that live, right?
Maybe.
no.
No. Please, because otherwise I'm gonna get in trouble.
No, you don't. No, you didn't. It's just something that you mentioned. Well, you mentioned that this year's D2 is not something you do to make profit, and it's. Oh no, he disappeared. There he is.
I'm right
back.
here,
right? Okay, you disappeared for a little while, and I just wanted to give you a huge thank you and a shout out for actually spending all this time and making this whole thing work, even though knowing that it's you won't become a millionaire of doing this either.
Well,
Yeah.
the plan was never to become a millionaire with the D2. The D2 was really and that's also the reason why we're still doing it. It was because it has given me a career, and everyone who came to the D2 understanding that there was an opportunity there, they all got something out of it. They got people got jobs, they got clients, they got collaborations, they got friendships, which is a freaking important thing. Nowadays the word friend, it's thrown around. Facebook has managed to make friends sort of like the standard in all relationships, but it's not like that.
abstract,
a friend is somebody that you can count on, somebody that you can confine in. It's somebody that you can tell them your stuff. And the biggest issue that I've had in my career was to always struggling finding people that were like-minded. And so to me, the D2 was the place where every year I would go and see my friends, my real friends, people that were like-minded, and that were doing the same things. And with the time, this family has become huge, because before the lockdown, we were expecting to get 650, 700 people. It's a shame that this went down the way that it did, but that was what's gonna happen. So anyway, sorry, I just wanted to make sure that the those who are watching this don't think that I told you, oh, please tell them that we're suffering.
No, you didn't. That was something that I just think that I know that you put a lot of hard work into this for not your own gain, and I think that's something that people deserve to understand, that this is not something that you do for yourself.
It's not relevant to people, and eventually we always there are people that don't care about this stuff. It's okay. As far as I'm concerned, my goal, I do feel that there is a discrepancy between the community that we had a few years back and today. And people might say, oh, why do you care about the community? Well, if you have a community that is tight and people talk to each other, I mean, I remember that in Central Europe, the average price for rendering was like $300. When people got together at the D2 and started to talk about pricing, you know, this was the community coming together.
People started to value themselves.
You understand? And so you cannot have those conversations like, maybe we can have it online with a stranger, but it's not the same if we're in person and I'm like, dude, next year, please come back here and tell me that you have tripled your prices. And funny enough, this is the thing that has happened with most of the attendees, you know, people that came to me specifically and say, man, you know, I am now able to feed my family. I would have never thought that this was a viable career. And so if I can do that for somebody, I can do that for myself as well. Do you understand? I'm super transparent about this. As I told you in the very beginning, I've created the D2 because I wanted to get myself a career. And so, you know,
you did that, but also I think there's a lot of people out there who have you, Jason, and Christian to thank for them having a career too, thanks to D2. So it's, you know,
it's what
I just want to, you know, give you all the love for the work that you're doing.
One thing that I mean, like, I come from the outside, right? I'm not in the 3D industry. I'm more like in the business and marketing side of things. So as an outsider, like, and when talking to Johannes, and we've been talking about, you know, like, I ask Martin and Johannes questions, you know, like that. So this D2 conference, tell me about it, you know. and one thing that both Johannes and Martin say is like, I mean, they're very clear about that the D2 conference is like no other conference. Like it's not. Like, one of the things that Johannes emphasizes, it's that it feels kind of like more intimate and more fun, easygoing and intimate as a conference than because other conferences sometimes feel a bit like you go from one lecture to another, and it's kind of like a bit stuffy and sometimes a bit boring. But the D2 is different in that way, that it feels more like a family gathering in a way, you know,
Even Texture Supply was kind of born into that community. It was just like 6 months old when I attended together with Johannes, and it was a great start for me to get into the 3D community. I've never been there before, so. Thank you a lot for this opportunity.
Hey man, I'm really excited to have you guys. You know, it's I'm just looking forward to see what people are going to do during this modeling battle. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, like I know that this is going to be, whoever is going to be on that stage, they will never forget those 45 minutes of making something in front of everybody, whilst I tease them, you know, whilst I give them alcohol.
Poking them in the side, like, come on, drink.
I look forward to seeing that, all of that.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So
we
are. Go ahead.
Do you guys have like how are you going to pick the artist? Because basically you're going to bring an artist of your own, somebody that you're going to choose from your community, right?
Yeah, so we're doing that now. So we had a form that people got to fill in and be part of this competition. I actually really want your help on this, Fabio. So we're gonna make this easy. I'm gonna let you say a number, and I'll just say what name is on that number. So for this form, we get all the names in a Google sheet, basically. So they're all in.
Then do you know for sure that that person can come?
In the form, you had to like check, yes, I can come. So
okay.
they are aware.
They're getting basically a free ticket.
Yes, free ticket, and the only thing you have to do, you have to get there, and you have to join the battle, and you have to get a free hangover. Pretty small stakes, right? So Fabio, if you say a number between 1 and 50.
1 and 50. 49.
49. Okay. Drum roll.
Yeah.
I know the name. I have it on my list.
Hang on.
Do
I'm gonna write it in chat just in case.
Okay. The winner of the free ticket is.
Sorry, I gotta get the name first. Yeah, sorry. We're talking about this one, right?
Is the list open? Can people see it?
Yes.
No.
It's our own list. It's closed on our Google page. Yes, it's the one.
I do not know who that is, right? I mean, you should have said that.
Yeah. You don't know. No, it's just a number to you.
Okay.
And I chose 49 because I'm like, if you always choose in the middle, and I'm like, those poor people that sign first and those who sign last, they never get a chance.
That's the thing with this list; it's random, so it doesn't matter who signed first or last.
It's all fucked up.
You can't change number. So all right, 49. Are you ready, Christian?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm gonna post it as soon as you say it.
All right. So the name is drum roll. Thies de Bruin. Did I say that right? Thies de Bruin.
Is it Thijus?
These. Sorry, if we're butchering your name, we're sorry. We're Swedish. We're dumb.
So, I mean, it's a thing. Like we're in Sweden. We're trying to speak English, and then we're trying to pronounce a foreign name in a foreign language. So
yes, it's like
that's the reason.
Getting distorted all the way there. But yeah, so there we have a winner. So congratulations to Thies.
Yeah.
Or
Mr.
De
Bruin. For me? Because I do have a person with that name in my list who has actually bought a ticket, and then we had to issue a refund because he cannot come.
Oh, okay. So THIJS De Bruin. THIJS. So we're like playing around with your name like it was the thing.
Anyway, get in touch with him or her. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. And
we got the email in, but he or she, I suppose it's a he, did actually apply in this forum today. So I guess that.
Okay, so you can come.
Wouldn't do that if they couldn't come. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Then welcome. I look forward to host you in Vienna, and bring your liver.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Okay, nice.
You're gonna need it.
Okay, so anybody that knows him, reach out to him. Tell him, congratulations. You are the winner of the Tech Supply giveaway for D2, the D2 conference.
Tell him congratulations. You will be filmed and it will be on YouTube, and you will be ashamed for the whole world.
Oh no. but
see what it did to your career, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it took
off.
It's
a career destroyer, this battle.
Yeah. Well, anyways, congratulations to Mr. De Bruin, I'm gonna say, because that's the absolute easiest way to say that.
Yes. So I guess we need to destroy this stream. But
yes.
It was amazing having you, Fabio, and someone in the comments actually said that they wanted to have you again because they thought this was a really interesting conversation, and I could only agree. So hopefully we can have you again in the future.
Was that?
I don't know. It's somewhere far up in the.
Yeah, it's
Eddie Villar.
Eddie. And also, Mark commented on our conversation about D2. He says it's not a conference; it's a homecoming with friends and a beer.
Yes.
I love Mark.
Oh, nice.
He's our biggest supporter.
Mark's amazing.
He's very supportive. I see you, Mark, in chat. Just you know that I see you over there, and I'm guessing Mark DeLang is Mark. He's Mark 3 on our Discord server.
Yeah, he's the wannabe Discord bot.
Yeah.
He actually
Of Mark
not
2.
a bot.
Yeah.
But we have a bot in Discord called Mark 2, and he renamed himself to Mark 3. He wanted to be the successor.
Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, if you are watching this and you want to be on our little community event and we can talk to you, if you want to answer some questions, then feel free to join our Discord and let us know, and we'll send you a little questionnaire to answer, to get some information from you before we have you as a guest. But before we go, we need to say a huge thank you to Fabio, everybody. So let's give him a little applause.
Yay. Thank you for
having me. And sorry for the picture that I sent you, which is a very old picture. The reason for everything is that I had to fill the form that I sent to you from my phone, and no other picture would upload. And it was crazy.
And you have no cameras on your phone. Yeah.
No. No picture would upload to the form from my phone. I think it's because of the internet.
Oh, right.
Because I tried also from my laptop. And it didn't work. And then I found this picture online, which was only like 54 KB.
Yeah.
And I was like, probably it's gonna be this small, and they're gonna be like, what the fuck?
And we had to increase the size.
I can take a look at that. It might have to do with the form and an upload limit, but I'll take a look at that. But it's
the internet that I have here, because nothing is working.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Actually, so happy that we managed to do this stream without any major interruption.
Just some small lags. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great. Well, it's time to say goodbye.
Thank you, Fabio. And also thank you for sharing some parts of your life that you normally don't talk about. That's super appreciated.
Thing to really tell, it's I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, so
looking forward to see you soon.
Yeah. It's just in a few weeks. It's just a few weeks away.
Yeah.
So I'll see you. We'll see you all on D2, and we'll see Fabio on D2, and let's have a couple of beers, and everybody, let's just start waving and saying goodbye, so that I can end the stream. Bye, everybody. Thank you for being here. Bye bye.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.